Welcome back to the Talking Consciousness podcast. My name is Unfortunate Chemistry, and today I have your favorite vegetable, Kale, on the show. How's it going?
Hi guys, hello everyone. I'm doing great.
And so I've invited you here to talk about some of your psychedelic experiences, and I don't know anything about them. You haven't given me any hints or anything, so I want you to just jump right in. Are we talking about your first one? Are we talking about your most impactful one? What's it going to be?
So we'll talk about all the different type of trips and the corresponding psychedelic. So today we can talk about shrooms, we can talk about acid, and we can talk about DMT. Okay. Those are the three psychedelics on my range. And then we can kind of sort of start with acid and then talk about and then shrooms and then DMT, because that's the order that I did them in my life. And okay. I think it was nice that I did the drugs that I did first before going on to the others.
Okay.
So we can talk about my first acid trip. So the way that this happened is I was given a Sour Patch Kid. It was yellow, and it was in a aluminum foil, and it had liquid dripped on it. I ate the whole thing. So I'm not really sure the equivalent to like liquid acid on a Sour Patch Kid, if that translates to like 1 to 2 or whatever tabs, but that was the dosage. And it was probably literally like $10. It's probably like 3 years ago in a suburb in Chicago. So in the suburbs of Chicago, there's not much to do. It's kind of sort of really Midwestern and urban. So what we're doing is literally just hanging out in the summer in a park. So I guess there's just national parks that have like benches and water and paths and stuff. And that's where we found ourselves. So I remember taking off. I was sitting in a room, a white room. We were smoking weed. And then we were just talking like normal. Me and my friend, we were tripping. And we had not told anybody. Like, that was our plans. We literally just like took it and went to hang out with these boys. So as we're sitting in the room, I'm looking at the white wall, and all of these shapes start like clouding my vision. Like hexagons and triangles and squares. And I literally am like, yo, I see these shapes. And he's like, are you guys tripping? And I was like, yeah, we just started. So I guess he took it upon himself to become our babysitter, even though we did not ask. But that's what happened for like the next 8 hours. They literally just drove and hung out with us. And we're like, are you guys okay? So after we had begun our trip, we left to like, just go out, be outside. And I remember in the car ride, things like started really taking off. I remember I was looking at like my iPhone screen, and I literally had a moment. I was like, oh my God, Steve Jobs knew exactly what he was doing when he made Apple. So I had heard like back in the past that like Steve Jobs did a bunch of acid in his garage, and that's where he like came up with the concept for like Apple and stuff. And so whenever I was looking at my iPhone and all of the white keys were like ultraviolet and like raised in 3D and like coming off the screen in squiggles, I was like, holy shit, Steve Jobs designed this experience right now for me. So that was kind of like a pinnacle point. I was like, oh my God, Steve Jobs. And then also this first trip, something I remember that I have not experienced in any of my other psychedelics is that I didn't have the whole like, okay, it's a new hour, it's just passing of time, but I felt like every hour I was like in a different world, or like something different was happening. Like the visuals had changed, like it was a whole different ball game. It's kind of sort of like one of those Adult Swim TV shows, like Robot Chicken, where like it just keeps cutting to like different things.
Yeah.
And like, so that's what happened there. So like basically every hour it was something different.
So for 8 hours, it was like 8 different scenes, or was it like 4 scenes going up and 4 scenes, like the same 4 scenes going down?
Nah, like every hour was something different. Okay. And then I think the most visual like change I had is whenever it was like light outside, so it was twilight, but it was getting dark. So it was in the time where there was not many leaves on the trees. So I really remember like rapidly like the colors of the sky changing, but I could only really see the different colors like through the trees, like through the tree branches that had no leaves. It was like all of these awesome colors. That was like one scene. And then the next scene was literally fucking claymation. So I'm just sitting here looking at this playground, and everything changes to claymation. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And I was like, guys, this is like a Tim Burton movie. Like, it's fucking clay. So that happened. And then that was pretty much when it got dark. So after it got dark, like another, time had gone in, the visuals had changed. I got like really socially. Like basically we were hanging out with these two boys that were stoned, and they weren't tripping and we were tripping, and they were trying to have a conversation with us. And so I just remember like looking at them trying to talk to us and like us responding, but at the same time I could see like a full cycle of conversation of like where he kept trying and like where we like weren't answering that well, and like where the conversation would die and where it would pick back up. It's like a flow chart, like all these fucking arrows. I'm just like listening to them talk, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this flow of conversation is like not real right now. Like it's really forced. And so like I like try to bring it to attention, just like, oh my God, our conversation right now, like you're trying to talk to us, and like we're not getting it. And he did not know what I was talking about. And he's like, I don't really know what you mean. And like as soon as like somebody tells you like you don't know, or like they don't know what you mean whenever you're tripping, it's like a burst in your bubble. You're just like, oh, okay, on to the next thing. Right. And so I think after that we got like weird vibes, and we're like, okay, like you can just like take us home. So we got food first, which is really stupid because I wasn't hungry. You're never hungry when you're on drugs. So anyway, we're like, yeah, let's get food. So we went to get noodles. And when I went to get noodles, I literally could not decide what the fuck I wanted on my pasta. I was just like, I don't know. And then I picked it, and then like I did not remember what it was when they brought it to the table. Like all my friends got their food, and I was like, I guess this is mine. Like I could not identify like the food that I had just ordered. And then also whenever I was there afterwards eating, I think I just like the whole time like in public sitting at the table, it was just like really weird. I was like, this is so interesting. And then pretty much we went home after that. But the drive home was really weird because there's all of this construction on the roads. And so as you know, whenever you're driving and things are trippy, it's already hard. But then there's fucking traffic cones. So luckily I wasn't the driver, or maybe unluckily, like I let my friend on acid drive me around, like that's smart. But we just had like a little trippy ride home, and then we went to bed, but we couldn't go to bed, and I just got a really big headache, and I watched TV, and like I like cried myself to sleep because I couldn't go to sleep. And I was like, why the fuck can't I go to sleep? Because it's my first time tripping, and I was like, I'm stuck here. This is a bad trip. Nothing's gonna ever end.
Right. And
then that was pretty much that. But throughout that lesson too, whenever I was tripping, it like taught me that I was bisexual. Okay. Like I had never once in my life like looked at girls, but when I like took my first acid trip, that's like the thing that I learned. It was like, yo, dude, you're part gay. And I was just like, what? And then yeah. So now that like I like, ooh, also one thing, whenever we were outside, I had just gotten these new Adidas shoes, and these Adidas shoes had like a really big, thick foam on the bottom.
Shout out to Adidas.
Yeah, shout out to Adidas. This like thick foam on the bottom, like you were like walking on air, right? Like whenever you're just wearing the shoes. So like these are like my trip setters, like my fucking new Adidas shoes. I was like walking on air, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to trip in these. Like it's gonna be so awesome. So we had gone outside to the park like before it had gotten dark or whatever, and there was water there. So like the water had like overflown and stuff, so the ground was damp and squishy. So whenever I had like my like Adidas like foam shoes on like the squishy like earth ground, I was like, whoa, my shoes are going straight through the earth right now. Like I'm rooted into the ground. Like I feel everything. And then I was also petting trees.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like stroking the tree branches, and I was like, these are so pretty. And then the next day when I looked at my hands, there's like a bunch of like cuts, but I didn't really feel it whenever it was happening. I was just like, oh my God, this fucking tree. And I was just like petting it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was your first acid trip. Have you done more acid?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 times.
Okay. And you've increased the dose from that?
So the second time that I took it was honestly like a year afterwards. So that time I just took like 1 tap. And then yes. I took 1 tap, and I like tripped by myself, and I watched Revolutionary Road, which is this Leo and Kate Winslet movie. Mm-hmm. And the movie itself is really intense, okay? Like, it's fucking Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet part 2 in the Titanic. Not really, but, like, it's them, like, living out their dreams. Like, they have the most chemistry ever.
Right.
So it's watching this movie about this, like, failing 1950s marriage. And a lot of the movie happens unspoken. Like, the viewer has to be engaged. You have to be watching it. Like, it's their facial expressions or the things that they do off screen or the lighting. So, like, when I was tripping, like, all of this was super duper enhanced. So basically, for like 2 hours, I just like cried my eyes out at this movie, and like it rocked my world and taught me about like the hopelessness of the world and getting married. So basically, it was like an emotional trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the second time. And then the third time, I call this trip the room trip.
The Room?
So, yeah, The Room.
Please tell me you didn't watch The Room while tripping.
No. It was just, okay. So I had a room in the basement, and the way that it was like a pretty big rectangle, and then like at the head of it, there was a door, but because it was a basement, it wasn't like, you could see under the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could see out to the other parts. So we were like all the way against the wall, and we could see like the little lining between like the door and the other rooms. And it was like, basically, it was like a flashing light. Like, pretty much like anything outside of the room there was like non-existent. Like, the only thing that mattered to us was the room. And I literally felt like the room was like transported into like another dimension. Have you ever seen that episode of SpongeBob where Squidward goes to the future and he gets stuck in the box, and like the room like turns out to be white and like all the words fill it up? Literally, I was living that.
Okay.
So, like, it was just, like, the room. Like, we couldn't leave the room, and also the room wasn't put together. So, it was, like, us two. We had taken, like, 2 tabs, and we had gone into the basement room, and there was a mattress that was, like, in plastic, and then also all of the bed frame is, like, not put together. And, like, that was, like, the main piece of furniture in the room. So, we're like, dude, let's just, like, set up the bed real quick, and then we'll have something to lay on this whole time. Tweedledee and Tweedledum cannot put the bed together. Like, it literally took us so long.
Did you see that video of the couple trying to build IKEA furniture on acid?
No, it was probably so hard, but it wasn't IKEA furniture. It was IKEA. So we're like looking at the fucking thing, and I'm like, I just don't get how these pieces go into it. And then also, like, it's a bed frame, so it has to be straight, and there's posts. All of this is logical sense. I've set up many beds, but I was looking at it, I was like, none of this is straight. Like, it's not going to stay. Like, I don't know how to do this. And we couldn't figure out how to get the plastic off the mattress. Obviously, you would just, like, cut it or, like, tear it off or rip it, but we're, like, just ripping it with our hands and, like, pulling really hard, like, just, like, pulling plastic for, like, no reason. And, like, it took a very long time. And then after we, like, barely got the mattress, like, on plastic, we were, like, so out of breath, we, like, had to sit there. And then, like, lo and behold, my dog comes in the room, okay? My dog is a really anxious dog. So I guess whenever we were on drugs, looking at our really anxious dog, it, like, tripped us out because he was, like, anxious and, like, all shifty and weird. And we're like, yo, chill out. Like, and he's, like, looking at us and, like, not leaving the room, but, like, leaving the room. And we're like, can you just, like, chill out? And so we had to kick him out because he, like, kept just, like, looking at us. And we're, like, literally absolutely doing fucking nothing. And we're just like, please leave, or, like, come sit. Like, I don't know. It was just, like,
omen.
Yeah. And it was my dog, though. So I was like, he has to go. But I love him. And then also, we were just juuling a lot. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what a joule is, it's a stupid ass little nicotine. And we were just juuling a lot and, like, blowing the air and then watching the air disappear. I will have to say, in the room trip, the greatest thing I've ever experienced is 0 and 100 at the same time. So we were just, like, sitting there, I was thinking, I was, like, on my, like, acid trip, and I was like, Kenzie, like, literally being on acid is like feeling everything but nothing at once. And so literally what I did is I clapped my hands, and I took my right hand and I put it to my right side, and I was like, this is 0. And then I took my left hand and I put it on my left side, and I was like, this is 100. And then literally right before our eyes, because I had, like, moved air, literally the fucking air particles went from, like, all the way right in a straight line all the way to the left. So, like, because I had, like, moved the air, it illustrated it. But, like, it was, like, 0 and 100, and I was like, I feel everything and nothing at the same time.
Wow.
Yes. And then also, our friend sent us this song to look up, and it was just like festering pigeons, and it literally sent us on a loop. Like the festering pigeons maybe lasted for like 10, 15 seconds when I look back at the song like normal now. Like whenever I go listen to the song sober, I like barely even notice the pigeons. But basically what the song is, it's pigeons that are really quiet and more come and they get loud and more come and they get loud. Like it just builds, 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 builds. But basically when you're like tripping and like all of your frequencies like pretty much like sound the same and they're different, like lower frequencies, like whenever you like start stuff. I don't know. Basically the song like went on for so long and we're like, what the fuck did our
Yeah.
friend just send to us? Like what is he trying to get in our heads? Like what is this?
Yeah,
And so
I kind of know. I know what that feeling's like. So, I have like a few different trip playlists or whatever, and there's a song on my trip playlist. It's called "The Twilight Zone" by Rush, and
Mhm.
I've listened to this song hundreds of times before I ever tripped, and I never noticed, not once, that I noticed that the entire song he's whispering the lyrics underneath speaking them. And
Oh
now,
boy.
now when I listen to it sober, I can hear it, but it's very subtle. But when I was tripping, I couldn't hear him singing. I only heard him whispering, and it was freaking me out because it's like, wait a minute, when did this song change? It was so different.
Yeah. And then also we couldn't go without sound. Like if we were just in a silent room, we could hear ourselves think and it was too much.
Yeah.
Like literally for a second we were like sitting there and I was like, do you hear that? I was like, what the fuck is that sound? And I literally heard my brain work. Like I thought back to SpongeBob where there's an episode where like he has all the little brain cells in there like filing
Yeah.
away stuff and they like light it on fire. I was like, I can hear all my brain cells right now. Like I can hear it in my head pumping blood. So we like always had to have music going on. Like that was the vibe. And then I think we literally just stayed in there for quite some time in the room, just like laughing at nothing and like smoking weed and smoking cigarettes in the bathroom and listening to music. And like we took a bunch of videos and pictures and just like talked about blah, 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 blah. I think one conversation we had is like, I'm a blob and you're a blob. And we're just blobbing. And we literally like blah, 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 blob. And we just like went off on a tangent laughing. Because we were both blobs. And we were blobbing. And we like could understand.
Right.
And then I think after that, pretty much we went and we watched TV. So once we like started coming down, we started feeling sick. Like I got nauseous and like I threw up one time. And then like I just like sat there
That
and
was
like
probably from the
drinking
Joy.
water. Okay, that's true. It's probably true. And so I got sick. I probably got nicotine poisoning, whatever. And so I got sick, and then we just like watched TV for 2 hours, and then it was the best time of my life that I've ever experienced. It was twilight before the sun was up. So the whole sky was lit, but there was no sun. So all of the stars were out. It was blue and aquamarine and purple and pink and yellow, like the full scape you're about to get before like a beautiful sunrise, but there's no sun yet. It's like all the stars were out. I could see all the constellations, and I literally felt like I could see like the globe sphere. I was like, oh shit, it's a spear. Like I could see like the rounding point up top. So we literally just like went outside and was like walking for a bit outside, and it was really cold. And so after that, we're like, shit, let's go drive around. So literally, we just like went and drove to a park, and then we were like coming down, like getting tired, so we just like smoked some weed, and then I drove her home, and then I fucking had to go to work. I do this often. I don't know. I just do drugs and go to work the next day because I mean, you know what?
God.
Dollars, bills, yo. So I like went to work and literally I got so high before I went because I was like, I literally can't do anything right now. Like I want to fucking go to bed. Like my head hurts. But I went into work and I just like was there for like 6 hours, just like literally like the worst day of my life. But like 3 weeks later, we took another trip on 420 and I went to Chicago, and that was a crazy story. So next trip, we go to Chicago. I took 1.5 taps. Okay. And so literally we're just like chilling and like up north in Chicago with my friend and her dorm at college. Like we're not doing much. Like we're just listening to music. Like we're literally just like tripping, being whatever. And then she decides since it's 420 and like we have a bunch of stoner friends, like somebody will babysit us, so they will. So we're like, okay, like let's get somebody who like wants to get super high and they can just like get super high and like drive us around and like watch us. So we did that. We got our friend, and he had like taken edibles and he like taken too many, so he got like too fucked to drive us too and like too high. And so we were like on acid, like on 2 tabs, like could not function. It was like a big shit show. So we had decided that we wanted to go get cupcakes, but from an ATM. This was the trippiest moment of my life. So get this, imagine a fucking vending machine, but for hot cupcakes, and that's touchscreen, and you have to pick your cupcake. So, like, when we go up there, it's, like, kind of a frenzy, okay? Like, it's not a storefront. It's literally just, like, a vending machine. And, like, there's a bunch of, like, all these Asian people and tourists and kids. It was just, like, not a good scene for me to be, like, tripping balls, like, to get a fucking cupcake. So you have to insert your card and then, like, type in your PIN number like normal and, like, pick a cupcake. But I could not do this. Whenever, like, the prompts were like, okay, like, insert your account. I was like, I have an account? What? And they're like, insert your card and remove, and then insert your PIN. And, like, I had forgotten my PIN, because I don't actually ever think about it, but I got it to work. I was like, oh, it's just this, dumbass. And so then, when I got to the cupcake selection, there was, like, 16 cupcakes. All of them were plain as fuck. Like, vanilla, or raspberry, or lemon, or chocolate. But, like, to me, it was so complicated. I was like, dude, I do not know what cupcake I want. I do not know which one sounds good. Like, what? And then, I think whenever it asked me, it's like, do you authorize this to withdraw insert amount from your account? I literally had, like, a moment of, like, the Matrix, like, numbers went in my head. I was like, I fucking own an account with money in it, and, like, people deposit things into it and, like, take out of it. Like, it's here on this card for me. Like, I just have an account. Like, what the fuck? And so then I came back and I was like, oh shit, I gotta pick my cupcake. So, like, I picked my cupcake, and we got our hot cupcakes delivered out of the box. We ate them and we started walking. And then a big part of this story that I forgot to mention is that in Chicago, there's no parking. So we were going to scam parking. We went to go park at this grocery store parking garage, and you got free parking as long as you, like, took your parking ticket down to the grocery person and had them stamp it. Like, they're like, oh yeah, this person came here to this grocery store, like, they get free parking. So, like, whenever we did that, I did not understand that. I literally thought my friend just parked the car, we had a parking ticket, like, this is where we're going, like, it's no big deal. Like, I didn't really get what was happening. So we, like, go into the store, and he was like, okay, like, just go pick something, like, I think there's a $20 limit, like, you guys all go buy each something, like, that way we can, like, get, like, the parking, like, you know, whatever, validate it. And so whenever we got there, I didn't bring the parking ticket, like, I didn't realize it had to be validated. So, like, I didn't bring the parking ticket, so we had to go get that. And so in the time that he was getting that, it was probably like 3 minutes. It literally felt like 10 minutes. I was looking around this fucking grocery store, and all I could see was all of the dust in the air and the lights moving. Like, every single time, like, a freezer door would open or close, I would see, like, the cold air go in and out. I would see all of the lights, like, up top. And then also, like, people talking was just, like, really disoriented. And whenever I went to the checkout, I was just being weird. And you know how people in retail, they put on a fake face at work?
Yeah.
Whenever you're tripping, you can see through that. So I could see this girl sounding super duper nice to me, but on the inside, she was sad. So, like, whenever she was, like, talking to me, like, all I could notice is, like, how sad she was and not the words she was saying. And so she fucking asked me, like, do you need a bag? And, like, my, like, tripping ass, like, took a moment to respond anyway. And after I realized I, like, had a pause, I was like, oh, shit, no, it's fine. And then so literally, like, she checked me out. I had, like, 5 fucking items. And so me, my dumb ass, was like, I don't need a bag. I already told her I couldn't get a bag. So she's, like, checking, you know, me out or whatever, and, like, moving on to the next person. And then I start fumbling with all my stuff in my hands. I'm like, I need a bag. Like, I can't do this. And then I was just like, I told her I didn't need a bag. Like, I have to figure it out. So having this internal dilemma, like, in the line, like, I need a fucking bag for my shit, but I told her no. And then so I literally, like, stumbled. I was like, I need a bag. And so then she's like, yeah, sure, take one. And so I got it. And it was just, like, all, like, really weird because, like, they try to rush you, but they don't. And they're nice, but they're not. And just, like, all of the, like, fake formalities plus me tripping, like, was not working out. Like, I knew happening, like really, really happening. And I was like, oh boy. So eventually we got our parking validated, and then oh my god, we got stuck in a wormhole in the parking garage. So it was a spiral, it was a spiral parking garage, okay? It was just like nothing but white and like black arrows. I guess we were all the way at the fucking like in the middle, and so we went all the way to the top, thinking we were gonna go down to the bottom. So once we got all the way to the top, we had to like go back down. So we literally were in the middle, had to go all the way up, and then all the way to the middle, then all the way down. So it was like, oh my god, we're stuck here. Like this is never gonna end. And it was like really tight circles because we're in Chicago and like everything is like compact. So that was crazy. And then afterwards, we wanted to go to see these lights. They were what are they called? They were like these Chinese lights. They were just huge lights that were like a Chinese thing in like the museum park or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like I had seen them like advertised on Facebook, and so I was like, okay guys, let's go to this. And they're all like, yeah, let's go to it. So it didn't give us an exact address, it just gave us like a location. So like I wasn't smart enough at the time because I was tripping balls. Like I couldn't like figure out the exact GPS address of the place. And then Chicago, there's nowhere to park, there's nowhere to stop, there's nowhere to do anything. So basically for like 5 minutes we got too overwhelmed driving without an actual destination, but a destination. But like our driver was super high on edibles and 420 and like couldn't figure it out either. And I was high on acid, like pointing at my phone, like I want to go here, like I know where I want to go, I just can't get there and I don't know the address, but this is the place. And like we couldn't figure it out. It was like super duper complicated. And we all got really stressed out because like the car literally couldn't stop. Like you couldn't park anywhere, and like we were just like tripping out. And then also at that point, our friend was like, "Hey, you need gas," and I was like, "What?" And so for some reason in my mind, I was like, how long have I not had gas? Like, how long have you not told me? Clearly the fucking light just came on. He's like, you need to get gas. But I was really freaked out. I was like, oh my god, my car's gonna break down. Like, I'm not gonna have gas. Like, we're not gonna get anywhere. Like, we're gonna be so fucked. You know, like, what the hell? So we go to get gas. And I go to this gas station. And, like, in this gas station, it's just, like, really popping. Like, there's a bunch of people outside at one car, like, hanging and, like, just, like, dancing to music. Like, they were just, like, goofing off at the gas station. But to me, I was like, oh, shit. These are gang members. They're all in a fucking gang. Like, this is their spot. Like, they get gas here. Like, I do not need to be in this part of town. Like, what the fuck? And then for some reason, like, because I was high on acid, the gas pump wasn't working the right way. So I was like putting in my card and like pushing the thing and like it wouldn't do it. Lo and behold, it's one of those gas pumps where you have to like flip the little lever up, and I just wasn't doing it for a long time. So like I like didn't know that I had to, so I was like, what the fuck is up with this? So I thought I'd seen the gas station attendant come outside. He's like walking like to fix something, like to fix the other pump. And I was like, hey, does this gas pump work? And the guy gave me a weird look. He's like, yeah, probably. I don't know. And then it occurred to me that that was just a random ass guy, and I just asked him like, "Does this gas pump work?" Like, where I'm, what the fuck? So after we like gassed up, I had like started driving because I was like, "Oh my god, like you let my car get out of gas, like we don't know where to go." I was like freaking out, and so my two friends that were also tripping with me were just in the backseat with their cupcakes and pickles and chips, and they were just laughing a bunch, and we were like listening to music, driving around, and then we went home. And then we went home to the dorm, and it was super duper hot. So we literally just like turned off all the lights and like got naked and like listened to music for 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was that one. And then all of the other times that I've been acid has been at like raves. And so I don't actually feel the trip. I just had a really good time.
Right. You were just with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then let's move on to shrooms.
Okay, shrooms. The first time I ever took them, they were given to me as a gift. Like, my friend was just like, hey, what do you have to do tomorrow? And I was like, oh, nothing. And she's like, do you want to, like, eat some shrooms? And I was like, sure. So we had, like, we just moved into, like, a townhouse or whatever, so we had a bunch of, like, boxes and things. So there was just, like, random stuff in our house all the time, and so we kind of sort of, like, chilled in, like, 2 rooms, like, the living room that was set up, and, like, that was pretty much it. So we just, like, hung out in there, and basically, I literally just figured out what, like, Nikola Tesla was saying about, like, vibrations and, like, matter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, everything's moving. Like, this is all fake. So I have a note that I typed to myself on my phone that I'm actually going to read right now
Okay.
because that'd be relevant. So let me go to that. Oh my God. Okay, so I wrote to myself, I feel like shrooms are just like how I would trip as a human on this earth. I will show you my plight. I carry on every day. Here I am listening to the Humblest Pleasures duo on repeat. So, Humblest Pleasures is a song by the band called Turnover. And it was like on an EP. So, I was listening to these two songs like on repeat because it like made me feel really comfortable. And then I wrote to myself, listening to Humblest Pleasures on repeat with my dog Thrasher. He's sober. I have no idea why I felt the need to like write that my dog was not on shrooms because obviously my fucking dog wasn't on shrooms, but okay. And then I said, I feel similar to how acid was. Everything is fast, intense. I see lots of lines, patterns. I watch everything vibrate and spin. I see everything my body feels in the way I, as a cognate human, cannot every day. I said, I see everything my body feels in the way I, as a cognate human, cannot every day. The waves and vibrations.
Nice little
So I'm not
poem.
really sure like what I was writing to myself, but I think it like had to do with the fact that like you get that like kind of film over your eyes where like everything is like yellow and like swirly because that's like the drugs passing through your eyes and your bloodstream. And then just like I was looking at like my couches and like they were just like vibrating and like wavy. And then also shrooms kind of sneak up on you. Like you kind of sort of have to be in the mindset to let it happen. Like it's not as intense like acid forces you to see it. It's more just like, oh shit, do you see those trees outlines? It kind of sort of looks like a blah 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 blah.
How much did you
Or
take? Do you know?
um yeah, so I took one and it did not work, and then I took like one and a half more. So I think I took like 2.5.
Okay.
So that was the first shrooms. And then I think literally we just like smoked a bunch of cigarettes. Oh my God, I FaceTimed for the first time. Not for the first time, but like I FaceTimed my friends and I literally started crying. I was looking at them and I was like, holy fucking shit, you guys. Like, you are here right now. I can see your face. You can see my face. Do you know what I'm doing? Look at my eyes. Like, you are literally here right now in this picture-esque moment. Like, you are here. My mind was blown by FaceTime. I was just like, what the fuck?
Well,
Even though, obviously, FaceTime's been around for so.
yeah, but I think that's the appropriate response. It's just nobody has that response. Think about it. That's a miracle. That you could see someone else's face while they're talking to you when you're like super far away from each other. That is very strange. That never happened in history. There's a lot of things that we do today that are if you if you lived 50 years ago, you would say that was a miracle. But it's just so casual and so
Right.
normal to us.
And then, trying to think what else like really stood out to me. I think it was just like my dog again. Like the dog was super duper fuzzy. Like that's when I knew it was like hitting me super hard. I was like, my dog is so fuzzy, and he's usually not this fuzzy. And
Right.
then, uh-huh. The second time I took shrooms, though, I think that time he took like again like 2 to 3. And this time we went out to do something social. It was kind of weird. So we went to like this frat beach party, and like the whole basement was like filled with sand, and there's like a bunch of different like kids from like colleges there, and it was so funny. We like got pissed and left. So it was a frat party, and we were literally just looking for water because we're on fucking drugs,
Right.
and all of them were looking at us crazy when we asked for water. Like I guess like asking for water like a college place is like not acceptable. They're like, what are you, fucking pussy? Have a drink. And we're like, no, we need water. So it was like kind of cool though. We were outside looking at this tree, and the tree had these light up lights on it, like all the way up it. And I was just like staring at the tree and like watching it like breathe with the lights. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And then I also remember like looking at everybody's faces, and they were just like weird and whatnot. And then there was this room. I think everybody in that room was on drugs. Well, not I think. I know. Like, the way that all of us were just, like, sitting in there, like, in this, like, special room, like, away from the whole frat party, you could just tell. There's one guy, I think he was there on, like, coke, 'cause the way that he was just, like, fidgeting and, like, really nervous and, like, awkward, like, he was coked out. Then there was, like, a couple, and I think the couple, they were just, like, really, really, really hot. And so they were just, like, stoners, and it was fine. And then there's this guy across the room. He had to be tripping, but not on shrooms. Just the way that he was looking at things. But it was, like, interesting that, like, we literally looked at each other, we're like, everybody else in this room is on drugs too. But the rest of the party, like, inside and outside, they're all just, like, drinking and stuff. And then, I don't know, it was kind of weird because it was, like, a younger crowd, and we're, like, kind of older. Like, we didn't really go to college there. So, like, basically, I don't know, we left and went home. But whenever we went home, we had my mom was, like, cleaning out this cabinet in her kitchen full of cans. So, like, she put, like, literally, like, 50 fucking cans on our kitchen floor. Like, she just, like, stopped in the middle of it. So, like, I was, like, running through the kitchen or something, and I fell on all these cans, and then I fell on top of all of the cans on top of this fuzzy carpet. And so I just started rolling in the cans, and I started laughing really hard. And I was just like, Kate, why the fuck are all these cans here? Like, why, what? I was like, I know why they're here. Like, my mom fucking put them here, but, like, god damn it, like, why are all these cans here right now? And we just started, like, rolling in these cans, like, on carpet. And then we watched a bunch of Tim Burton, not a bunch, we watched 2 Tim Burton movies.
Which ones?
We watched The Nightmare Before Halloween, and then the other, the fuck, and then Alice in Wonderland 2.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Alice in Wonderland 2, or like Alice in the Great Ragnarok, whatever the bullshit thing is.
Right.
That one was nice though, because like basically she was time traveling and fighting time and trying to make everything change and like go back in time and fix it, and like she couldn't. Like everything that she did, like the same end result still happened. Like it just it's a full circle. Like you can't beat time, you can't run from it, you can't outrun it.
Yeah.
And so that was like a nice message to like learn. Like I think that taught me about being a little bit more adult about like, hey, the traffic is the reason why I'm late. Okay, well maybe you should account for traffic because like it's gonna be there. So it was just like stuff like about outrunning time that maybe like kind of gave me more perspective. It's like shit, like even this fake like Alice in Wonderland thing, like it's like you can't outrun time. So that was something that I learned there. And then also I really liked The Nightmare Before Christmas because that was my first time watching it and remembering like all the way. Like it's been all around for like a long ass time, and it's a huge like culture icon. But like whenever it came out, like I didn't really like I watched it, but I didn't remember it. So after I watched it, I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
And then I think that was like a year or two ago. And then this summer, I started selling shrooms because like once you like come up on a big amount, you obviously just buy them and you sit on them, and then like they sell themselves. So I was doing that, and with that being said, I had to like test my product. So my bitch ass was like fucking microdosing a lot. And then I'm gonna tell you the funniest story ever about shrooms. So it was actually this Halloween. So my friends literally live 5 minutes from me. Like it's crazy. Like we're always 5 minutes. Like that's just that. So I was going over to their Halloween party, and my friend texts me. She's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like these shrooms have taken a hold of my life. Like me and my boyfriend are tripping, but like I don't know, like there's not that many people left here at the party. Like you're totally welcome to come, but I just want to let you know right now that these shrooms like have a hold of me. Like I'm gonna be here, but just so you know." And I was like, "Oh shit, I should eat some too." So I had eaten 1.5, but I had put them in a tea. So what I did is I just put hot water in the microwave for like 2 minutes with the shrooms in them, and then I drank the water, and then that time I didn't eat the shrooms afterwards. I just drank the tea water. So me knowing that my friends lived 5 minutes away and I was still getting ready, I was like, okay, like shrooms take about like half an hour to kick in. Like I'm gonna like make my tea and drink it now. I've finished getting ready, and by the time that I'm like done getting ready and heading over there, they should start kicking in. Well, guess fucking what? Guess what? I took my tea and I drank it all, and I'm ready to go, and I couldn't find my keys. So like literally I'm on the come up, and I'm already anxious because I couldn't find my keys. And anytime you lose something, sober, you're like, oh damn, like fuck me, past self, like where did you put them? Or like, how could you lose them? Like you just had them, like you naturally like get a little worked up.
Yes.
So I was like naturally a little worked up. And then the logical part of me was like, dude, you just took these shrooms and you can't find your keys and your friends are high on drugs waiting for you. Like you're missing out. So then it was like times two. And then lo and behold, the shrooms start creeping up on me. So literally, it was so crazy. I was like making myself go crazy. Like I was searching my whole house, but as I was searching my whole house, I started seeing like a bunch of tracers, and like things got like hot. And like the center part of my head was like I had to like close my eyes like to like the flashing lights sometimes. And like whenever I'd look around, like open my eyes, it would be like disoriented. And then also like whenever I close my eyes, I would just like feel myself getting hot and like a little nauseous, like I was like on the upcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like texting my friend and I was like, dude, I can't find my keys. And she goes, oh, if it's too hard to find them, like I get it. I totally understand. Like, don't come. And I was like, no, I have to come. I literally feel trapped in my own house right now. Like I literally have to find them and go. So basically I like suffocated myself of like on the upcome, needing to find my keys and going. But once I got to my friend's house, I guess even before I got there, like literally as soon as I like walked out of my door, it was on. Like it was like Astro World, like edits, like everything was like flashing, like it was like full blown, like, oh shit, you're there. So I was like not like peeking, but upcoming peeking, like as I was driving the 5 minutes to my friend's house. And then when I got in there, I walked into the party and I had seen some people that I go to college with, but I didn't know were friends with my friends. So I walk in there, I'm like, what the fuck is up, Pete? Like, why are you here? I was like, I'm tripping on shrooms. Like, it's so awkward that you're here right now, huh? And then I went upstairs, and then I, like, had, like, a big sigh of relief. And then we were just, like, chilling there. And then we went into one of the rooms, and they were all, like, watching movies. And since it was Halloween, they decided on, like, a fucking horror movie. Yeah. No. That was not a good thing for me. Bad idea. So, like, I'm, like, pretty lit. Like there's like everything has tracers, like anytime any sound, it all travels, like it's rolling. Like when I'm looking at the TV screen, like things are coming out of it, like whenever things cut to different parts of the movie, there's still like burned images of the last scene on the TV. And then I guess I'm attractive, so these fucking boys kept trying to talk to me. And so, like, Gabrielle, like, the party host, like, knows what I'm doing. And she's doing it, too. So, like, we're on the same level. We're just like, hee hee hee. And then this fucking guy would not stop talking to me. He kept trying to make small talk. And then he literally ruined my life. He told me this bit about voting. So, I guess it was, like, around the time where, like, midterm elections were coming up. So, I was like, oh, yeah, are you gonna vote? And then he's like, do you want to hear a bit? I was like, a bit? He's like, yeah, a bit about voting. Like, yeah, sure, I'll hear a bit. And then basically he went on and like shit on voting. He was like, everybody in America is like a 5-year-old. That's whenever they're driving on their parents' laps. Like you go in there and you cast your vote and you think your opinion matters and you go home and you watch how the vote goes and you either like, oh, the vote went my way or the vote didn't go in your way. And you get a fucking sticker on your drive home too and you get to show it off to everybody like, oh, look at me, I voted. And so basically he was shitting on voting. And I'm really political. Like, I'm happy to vote. Like, I'm all about it. Like, I literally told my grandma who, like, okay, she didn't lose her healthcare insurance. She's going to, but I was like, do you vote? Because that was on the ballot, but whatever. So, like, anyway, with that being said, I'm, like, really, like, into voting. So whenever he told me this, and I was on shrooms, I literally shriveled up and died. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And he like would not stop talking to me. So like, so where do you go to college? What are you studying? How old are you? And the whole time I was just like inside, I was like, when is this guy gonna stop talking?
You're like, dude, I'm fucking high on shrooms. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly what it was. And I was like, I have nothing to say to you right now. And and then the conversation would die. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then you would like, so blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he just couldn't handle the silence.
He couldn't stop, yeah. And I was like, I need silence right now. Like, I need to just chill and, like, fucking melt into this, like, bed right now. Like, leave me be. That did not happen. So eventually, I, like, looked at him and I was like, dude, I'm tripping really hard on shrooms. Can you just, like, stop? And then he was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm drunk." And I was like, "Okay, great, bye." And so then that was that, and I pretty much just stayed there at their house till like 3 in the morning, like watching movies and like having visuals like on the TV in the room and the ceiling. They had like drop tiles,
Mm-hmm.
and the drop tiles like had all like the white and black stuff on it,
Yeah.
like it was speckled. So just like watching the dots and like counting those and having them appear, that was pretty cool.
Okay.
And then that concludes my shroom story. Besides just like one time I went to a concert and I took them and like I took like 1 gram in tea again. I didn't do that much because my tolerance was up. It was like after Halloween, it was like probably like the middle of November, so like 2 weeks later, I'd taken like 1.5 grams,
Right.
and it pretty much just made everything vibrate and fuzzy. It's
Yeah.
pretty much just like a stoned acid, like you're high on weed, but like everything's vibrating and like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So your dimethyltryptamine experiences, was it smoked or ayahuasca, or how'd you take it?
It was smoked on top of a bowl, and I shared the bowl with one other person. So we were at a festival, and it was like the final day of the festival, and we literally just went, hung up our hammocks like on these random ass trees, and then like packed a bowl full of weed, and then put the DMT on top, and then we split it. I did not blast off. I did not break through and see the entity. I just like got high off of it for like 5 minutes, and it like was wild. So literally, I'm like taking a couple hits, and like once I take one of it and inhale it, like everything pretty much like crackled. Like you know, like that sound you like when you hit weed. It was like that,
Yeah.
but way more intense. And then basically, it went from the bottom, so like the ground up. So
Okay.
from the ground up, I watched everything turn into like triangles. Yeah, every single thing turned into triangles. They became neon colors. The fucking sky was like a different type of blue. The clouds were different. And then there's all of these leaves on the ground, and they were like all orange. So like the ground was orange and triangles, and like the sky was different colored blues, and the trees and the leaves were all different shapes of like triangles, like different like isosceles, equilateral, and like scalene. And
Uh-huh.
basically, I had no thought. I was just simply looking, and I was just like, "What in the world?" And it was just like wild. And then like I was like breathing in and out, and like basically I could like feel it start to fade. Like once you took like a couple breaths out, it kind of like just like you were blinking and like it went away.
Right.
But on the other hand, my friend who like started it, passed it, and then hit it one more time, she like broke through. So like I haven't like seen the entity and like floated away and like done all that, but basically like the whole world changed, and like I could see the bottom of the ground and the top of the ground, and it was all like one thing. And we were also like on a hill outlooking, so like we were kind of high in altitude. We could like see a bunch of land, but that was pretty much that. Basically, a bunch of like triangular shapes, neon colors,
Yeah.
and like really like different.
Okay. So from the experiences you've shared, um, and this, I'm not judging by any means. Everybody goes about these things their own way, but it seems like you tend to use them in social situations. Do you ever use psychedelics in like alone in the darkness or anything like that?
One time I had an acid trip by myself. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had an ego death?
Ooh, no.
So you haven't had that experience. Is are you do you know about it? Are you like afraid of experiencing ego death, or you just
No, I'm
haven't
not
pushed it?
familiar with the term. Actually, elaborate.
Okay, so ego death is well, it usually requires a large dose, and you can have this experience on just about any of the substances. But what happens is you are no longer um, yourself. You have no connection to your identity whatsoever. You have no idea who you are, um, but you're not confused. You're not like, who am I? Because that whole concept is gone. The concept of being is gone. You're nothing. Um, And pretty much in the ego death space, you're having some really, really vivid hallucinations, inward, not like open-eyed. This typically happens when your eyes are closed. But you're seeing some very intense imagery, which, I mean, there's lots of, like,
I've had close to that happen one time at a festival when I was
candy flipping. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, that's like Molly and acid if like we're not on the same page. But I was watching Spangle, and it was like the final set, and it was like all of these different visuals on the screen, but it was just like it was just patterns. It was definitely my mind working with the patterns to make it crazy. And then this is like the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. So he was a DJ, and he like went to talk over like, all right guys, this is the last one. But he literally sounded like a computer, like an unreal person. Like they were talking to me like in my mind. Like I was about to be like shut down. Like I was like a part of this like music and this fucking visuals and like all of the whole trance thing. Like I wasn't like just like somebody at a concert like watching it and enjoying it. Like I was completely immersed into it, in it. But I didn't like forget who I was and all that. But it was close to it, you know. I was just like,
Right.
whoa, what the fuck is that voice? And then it was computerized, and I was like, this is literally in my mind. Like I just said that, and then I realized, oh shit, like he's here and he did that. And I was like, wait, what is this? Who is that? Like where am I? Like what? So like it barely happened, but not as you're describing it. Nope.
Yeah. So like, I get it. I've had it a couple of times, and so my psychedelic of choice is actually edibles, and I'm talking like really large doses. So I typically and I don't smoke weed either, so I never have a tolerance. I mean, I might smoke it occasionally, but I mean, we're talking like maybe once in a couple month period. So I never have a tolerance to weed. And when I do take it, I take 500 milligrams in an edible form of THC. So like super, super high dose. And like now that I've done it quite a few times, I don't really get as close to the ego death as I normally would. But basically, set and setting's really big to it too. So like, if I'm like hanging out with my wife and we're watching movies and stuff, it's going to be a lot harder for it to happen. If I'm alone and there's not a lot of stimulus and I'm not like, there's not like bright lights and stuff, it's really easy for it to happen. So like
Interesting.
you can set the condition to make this happen if it's something you wanted to experience. Not that, I mean, I'm not saying this is like something you have to experience, but it is an experience. Basically, I've had this experience with 500 milligrams of THC and 600 morning glory seeds. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I haven't.
So, morning glory seeds. This is the actual flower. I mean, I'm sure you know what a morning glory is, but this flower, the seed has a fungus that grows inside of it called ergot. And ergot's chemical structure is lysergic acid amide, which is actually the like a precursor to LSD. This is it's not pleasant. So yeah, there's a lot of negatives compared to LSD. It has like really strong vasoconstriction, so like your blood flow is really restricted, your blood pressure goes up, your like legs hurt from how hard it is to pump blood through them. And 600 seeds is a huge dose. So 500 milligrams of THC, that's a mega dose of THC, but 600 seeds is also a mega dose. And I did those on top of each other.
Wow.
Now this was not smart, and this was actually this was like the last trip I ever did that like it was before I decided like this was actually something serious and I need to chill out. Not to abuse these as drugs. They're not recreational. Is basically what I learned from this trip. And I don't use psychedelics recreationally anymore. This trip was so strong that I go to therapy every week because it made me confront like how depressed that I was. I'm much better now, but I still go to therapy because I'm trying to work through all my issues. But with the 500 milligrams of THC, 600 seeds, I had this experience of like getting totally disillusioned with my body. I forgot who I was, and I didn't know what it meant. Like, I knew that I wasn't myself anymore, but I didn't even know what that meant because I couldn't remember what being myself was.
Wow.
And it was horrifying for a while. You never know with psychedelics. I wasn't watching the time. It could have been hours. It could have been 5 minutes. You never know. But it felt like forever. That I was just like, I felt lost, and I felt like I was never coming back. And I had all these visions of like past lives or other lives. Like I don't really know what that was, but I had visions of lives lived that weren't mine until it peaked. And at the peak of these, I was the universe. I couldn't, like, I had my eyes closed, and
Did you experience the egg?
The egg?
Have you ever read The Egg?
I haven't read The Egg.
You literally have to right now.
I've heard someone mention The Egg, but I've never read that. I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna do a real shoddy job, but it's like literally talking about how you realize that in order to like be a complete persona, you have to live everybody's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you talk about like seeing all these past lives or other lives and like disassociating from your life,
yeah,
and like going to realize that you are the universe, that is literally the egg.
Well, that's what I did then. I was the egg. I was the
But it's
egg.
like a story, so it's interesting that like this real life happened.
Okay, so I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
But so what I ended up seeing, and so I wanted this to be fun. I didn't plan on having like this freaking crazy trip. I knew it was going to be wild, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I had a playlist set, and at some point, the speaker that I was listening to my music on died, but I was too far gone. So like that music was like, even though I hardly noticed it, it was like the only thing that was keeping me grounded. And as soon as that speaker died, I stopped seeing like those past or other lives or whatever, and all I saw were the stars. My eyes were closed, but I saw the stars, and I could hear the rotation of the planet, which that doesn't make sense. I know. It doesn't make sense. I could feel the rotation of the planet because like I was it, but I felt like I was feeling like the universe as a whole. And I was, so like, I don't even know how to explain this. It's like I was just looking at a star map, pitch black, lots of little dots. I could see the rotation. I could feel the rotation. And I was in this state forever. I mean, like forever. There's no way to tell me. I mean, it could have been a million years. It was forever. And when I came out of that, I really just felt like that was what the afterlife was. Ego death kind of gives you that, like, and you obviously you'll never know until you die, and then who you're going to tell about it, I don't know. But I just felt like I was one with everything. Like, as cliche as that sounds, I was it. You know, I was the big picture. I was the whole thing. Or part of the whole. I don't know how that works, but so that's kind of like an experience you can have when you're in the state of ego death.
Interesting.
Do you know who Terence McKenna is?
I do not.
Okay, so Terence McKenna, he was a famous psychonaut. He died in '99 from brain cancer, but he was like the foremost advocate for magic mushrooms, and he did a lot of research with them. He was like a philosopher, and he had all these crazy ideas. He's really fun to listen to. I recommend it. He's got a strange voice, and it's really entertaining. There's like 1,000 hours of him on YouTube, But
Wow.
he had a protocol that has kind of become standard in the shroom community for kind of getting into that place, and it's 5 grams in silent darkness. Now, shrooms are going to be a different experience than what I had, but from what I've read, that's like a guaranteed way to get there. So like sit in the dark. But I get it. It's intimidating to do some of that stuff. I know you can get really paranoid on different psychedelics and like not want to be alone or not want to be in the dark.
I just thought about the last time I got paranoid on psychs. This is a good part of the story. I'm gonna interrupt you.
No, go
But
ahead.
we have these Lime. You know what a Lime scooter is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so they're motorized electric scooters that get up to like 10 miles per hour. Like you put your credit card on them and you can ride it in the city or wherever.
Okay.
So I live in a city that has like lots of crime. Okay, like it's like probably like number one or number two like crime rate in the U.S. So it was like 3 a.m. We had like gotten back from a rave, and these fucking Lime scooters are parked right by my apartment. And I was like, oh my god, this is destiny. Like I've been wanting to ride a Lime scooter for like so long. So I start riding it, and I'm like tripping balls, right? Like, and it's like 3 a.m. outside. So once again, how like boys just tend to talk to me when I'm like on psychedelics. So we were like riding the scooter up and down our block, and this car pulls up. They're like, "Yo, what you doing out here at 3 a.m. like on your scooter, looking so cute?" And I was like weird. So I was like, "This is my fucking block. Like I'm on my fucking scooter outside because I want to be like, who are you? What's it to you?" And I was like, "Oh my god." And then he was like, "Yo, you guys got any weed?" And then I looked at my friend who sells weed, and I was like, yeah, we got like a gram or something if you're trying to do that. Because it's like the middle of the fucking road right now. Like, I don't want to
Right.
get. And so, like, we're like, okay, like, we can make a sale. No worries, no worries. He's like, oh, really? Like, I'm trying to spend 40. And we're like, okay, we can do that. So we do it, and we like do the transaction or whatever. And I'm still riding my scooter outside. And afterwards, I was still riding the scooter for a bit, and the guy like hadn't left. He was like parked, like in front of my apartment, like hadn't left yet. So me and my friend were like, this is kind of weird. Like, he knows where you live. He knows that we're about to, and we like didn't want to go inside because we didn't want him to know which apartment it was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just like feeling really paranoid. Like maybe we shouldn't have done this. Like it's kind of weird now. Like why didn't he just drive off? So we're like chilling there, and then we're like, okay, we can't go inside. Like we have to wait till he leaves. Like we're not going inside. So we like walked to the front of my apartment, and we're just like kind of standing outside, you know, like waiting for him to leave. Once he goes, like we'll go inside. He doesn't do that. And then my friend's like, should I get the rest of my weed out of my car? Like he knows that I have weed in there. Like what if he tries to like break into my car? I was like, oh yeah, good ass idea. Like get all your stuff, bring it inside my house. And then I was like, you know what? We should just ask him to leave because that's normal, right? Like we should
Yeah.
get the fuck out. So I go over there and I was like, hey, can you like go? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And so he leaves, and we were just still really sketched out. We're like, holy fuck, like we should move our cars. Like he knows, like our cars are here, and we're going into this apartment. Like this is not a good idea. So I had fallen and like eaten shit on the electric scooter. Like I saw a big pothole, and my dumbass, I just like try to hop off the scooter, not thinking that I'm going like 5 miles per hour on the fucking concrete. So I eat. So like we were also like I was dealing with that, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go to CVS and like not sleep here and not have anything here. Like maybe we can move our cars and like walk back. Like we just like got real sketched out. We're like, oh shit, like we're so like he's gonna rob us. Like he knows where everything is at. He knows where we live. Like why do we talk to him on the block? Like he's gonna come back for us. And so yeah, you can get real paranoid real fast. Like I was literally out there riding a scooter, coming back home, like it was all legit. And then it got so dark so quick. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna rob us and take our cars and like break into my house.
Well, I mean, me sober, I can kind of jump to conclusions like that. So I don't know, but yeah. So did you have any other experiences that you wanted to share, or do you have any sort of like creative outlets you wanted to plug, or do you have anything else for me?
Hmm. No, not really.
Okay, well,
Oh, I like shapes a lot, and it's because of acid. like triangles and hexagons and rectangles and
Geometry,
trapezoids and
yeah.
heptagons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if anybody ever asked you if you like shapes and you don't get the question or you say no, I will, like, take it personally, like, oh, they're not wavy. Disregard them. I don't know. Like, I like shapes.
Okay. Have you seen the new Ant-Man?
Yeah, I have.
Oh yeah. Did you like where they go into the what is that?
The quantum realm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that was crazy.
the gateway going into the quantum realm is like totally something I see on most trips that I've had. That like crazy opening of, geometry, just all that different geometry expanding and then they go through it.
Agreed.
I was like, yeah.
Agreed.
Yep, these guys know what's up.
But I am going to Decadence on New Year's Eve, and that's a big race. So maybe I'll have more stories for you after this weekend.
This weekend, okay. Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
send me I forgot. Yeah, it's New Year's, ain't it?
There's a bunch. Honestly, if you were looking for people to interview, I would hit up this app called Radiate. If you're unfamiliar, because it's nothing but rave people. And it's
Okay.
very open. They like trade drugs, they sell concert tickets, they plan to meet up, they make candies. It's all psychedelic culture. So yeah, check that out maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
For like people to interview
Yeah.
or podcast, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your time. This has been interesting. And yeah. Well, we might have you back on after your next experience.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you.